Hey guys, Francis here, and I want to show you a couple moves that are going to help you if you have a tight piriformis. How do you know if you have a tight piriformis? Well, if you're sitting cross-legged and your knees are way up, right, or if you sit feet together and your knees are way up, you might have a tight piriformis. So I'm going to show you 3 moves. We're going to use the 3 pillars of wellness: the strength, the stretch, and the release. Okay, we'll use a chair and a yoga mat and a tennis ball. Stay tuned for the last release because this is a really profound one. If you have any issues, if you've had any issues with sciatica, that shooting pain that goes down your leg, that can be a helpful tool. All right, we'll start with the chair and the strength, okay? So have a seat in your chair, and you're gonna have your feet flat, and we'll work for strength into the muscles that are involved with rotation, and we're gonna take a 2-pronged approach. We'll work lateral rotation and medial rotation. So you'll start by just sitting in the chair and just bring your heel up. So your thighs stay in place, okay? And your heel moves up. 2, 3, 4, and down. Try to stay upright in the torso, and heel moves up. 2, 3, 4, and down. Again, heel moves up. 2, 3, 4, and down. Again, heel moves up. 2, 3, 4, and down. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So I like to think of these variations like if you wanted to learn how to play hacky sack and you wanted to get really good at like hitting the beanbag with your heel this way and maybe the other way. So I'm going to call these the hacky sack variations. You still want to be upright as much as you can. The eye stays relatively in place, and you're just working pure rotation. Let's do one more like that. So this is lateral rotation. Now we'll work medial rotation, okay? So we're gonna come back to the first side and then rotate, 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 rotate. So if you were gonna hit the hacky sack with the outer edge of your foot, you would have to have this motion in place, right? And again, rotate, 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 keeping the thigh relatively in place, rotate, rotate, rotate. And then let's do the other side. Rotate out, 2, 3, 4, and down. Sitting up tall, and out, 2, 3, 4, and down. Again, out, 2, 3, 4, and down. One more, out, 2, 3, 4, and down. Now let's go to the first side again, and we'll add in a little other variation. So we're going to rotate, rotate, rotate. Now catch your shin bone with your hands. Place it on your thigh. Now, if your knee is way up, maybe you have that tightness we talked about in the beginning, and your knee is way up, let it be up. It's okay, all right? Sit up tall. Now, rotate if you had a wheel on either side of the pelvis, you want to rotate so that your pelvic wheels move into forward motion. Your belly button moves forward, and if your pelvis were a bowl, you're spilling water out of the front of your pelvic bowl, and you will feel a stretch in this upper thigh buttock area when you do that. Now, what I want you to do is just come in and out of it, and then slowly let your ankle slide off the thigh and try to control your way down. Control your way down. You're using the eccentric contraction for strength there. So you're going to work concentric contraction, reaching, 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 and then catch. Place your ankle on your thigh. Right? Sit up tall. Tilt the pelvic wheels into forward motion. Get into a little bit of that opening. Come upright. But mainly this one, we're going to slowly come down. We'll do 2 more on this side, working for our strength. So rotate, lift, 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 catch, place, and hinge. You can think of the hip socket like a hinge, and slowly come down. We'll do one more time. Here we go. Rotate, catch, place, sit up tall, and tilt. And remember, slow control down. Now, second side. Start to rotate, 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 rotate. Catch, place, sit up, and tilt. And slowly come down. Again, rotate, lift, lift, lift. Catch, place, sit up tall, tilt. And slowly come down. Let's do it again. Rotate, lift, 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 catch, place, sit up tall, spilling water out of the front of the pelvic bowl, and slowly come down. And once again, rotate, 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 catch, place, lift, tilt, and slowly come down. So that's a little bit of our strength. Now, this is if you have knee issues, you want to take care of what's happening in your hips as well. This can be a really good practice to help you open up the area, the pelvic area, so that your knees are not negatively affected. Okay. Now we're going to come down to our stretch portion. We'll do a variation on pigeon that is easier on the knees. We'll do foot to knee like this. And so I have this would be the left leg forward. And I'm going to turn to frame my left knee with my hands. Okay, so I just rotate a little bit. I'm used to doing this one where I line the knee up with the center of the mat. So you can do that. So line your knee up with the center of the mat, hands to either side of the knee. Lift long through your spine. And again, the pelvic wheel is moving to forward motion. Reach long, reach long, reach long. Come down as far as feels comfortable. Okay, and it's going to be different for everybody. If you do have knee issues, I do not want you to feel any little inkling of pain in your knee at all. So come out of it, right? The other thing you can do is decrease the angle, if it's a sharp angle, of the fold here. So the angle between the thigh and the shin bone, right? But if you're doing okay, we'll come in further. And what I want you to do is a couple of moves. Here, we're going to tilt the pelvis, lengthen the spine, like a little undulation through the spine, lengthening. And then on your exhale, release your belly button toward your thigh. Let's go back to the tilt. Tilt, lengthen, and belly button toward thigh. 2 more times. Here we go. Focus on the pelvis, tilt the pelvis, lengthen the spine, and forward folding. 1 more time. Tilt, lengthen, fold. Now, if you feel comfortable, you can come onto the forearms. Maybe you're already there easily, or maybe you're not. So do what feels comfortable in your body. You can put a prop underneath your forehead here, like a yoga block, or you can make a tower of fists and rest your forehead on the fists, right? So that's if you need to be a little higher, or if you're more flexible, you come down further. But the main goal is that you're directly putting your belly button over onto your thigh. And you should feel a stretch in your upper outer thigh buttock area. Big breath in, big breath out. Again, big breath in, big breath out. Let's do 3 more long breaths right here. And then gently come on up. Let's get ready for the second side. So change the legs over. All right, you can start with the Z sit. I call this the Z sit, foot to knee. And then just kind of, if you want to angle it a little bit so that you can use the front of your mat as a reference, frame the leg with your hands, lift long through the spine, tilt the pelvis so that you can reach out and over. Once you get into a place where you're starting to feel a little stretch, let's kind of back out a little bit and then tilt the pelvis, lengthen the spine, and then come a little forward. And again, tilt the pelvis, lengthen the spine, and move. So lengthen, move. Tilt, lengthen, move. And then come as far down as feels comfortable, maybe forearms, maybe tower fists. Feeling that stretch in this upper outer thigh buttock area. If you need more stretch, you tilt the pelvis more. Let's do 5 breaths all together, about 4 more to go. Every exhale allows you to release a little bit more. Once you've done your breath, slowly come out. And now for the tennis ball variation. So what we'll do is a release for your piriformis. So first thing you have to learn is where it is and how to find it. So you can take your fingertips to your thigh and just palpate, just press into there so that until you come to that bone that sticks out, that's your greater trochanter. So find your greater trochanter, and then you'll find your other hand to your sacrum, and then trace down till you find the tip of the tailbone. Tip of the tailbone. So greater trochanter, tip of the tailbone. You draw a line toward the middle of those 2 points, and then come up just a little bit. So I'm actually going to bring you over to our skeleton here and just show you on Bob. Okay, so what you have here is, as you see, the thigh bone. At the top of the thigh bone, you have the greater trochanter. You could feel that. And if you felt on the sacrum down to the tip of the tailbone, right, you went to between those 2 points and a little bit up, and you're right on the piriformis muscle. So that's kind of what we're going for on that one. Okay, so now that you've found your piriformis muscle, you can do a release with a tennis ball. So we'll come to lie on our back and take the tennis ball on that spot. So I'm going to do the side that's closer to you so you can see. And put the tennis ball right on that spot. Okay, and with your feet flat, you'll slowly start to let that knee, the side that the ball is under, open up to the side. And then come back to center. Now, if you have any shooting pain or anything like that with sciatica, you want to get it checked out by your doc. You know, I've learned through years of working with my yoga students and Pilates and prenatal yoga that this has been effective for a lot of people, but you want to get yourself checked out. If you really have pain and issues here, you know, go to a professional. I will let you know also if this is helpful for you. Maybe you may or may not know if you have tightness there. If your knees are way up in your cross-legged position, that might be an indicator of tightness here. You'll know once you try to do this release. You'll be like, oh, that's a spot. And it's important to keep that area of the muscles happy and healthy. So let's do the second side. So you're going to do this, I don't know, maybe 6 times. The key is that if you do have issues with maybe sciatica or anything like that, there's 2 things, sciatica and piriformis syndrome. One comes from the piriformis muscle, so it might be more the tightness of the piriformis, and one comes from the lumbar vertebra, the low vertebra compression there on the nerves, right? So if it's the one that's coming from your seat, then this exercise this release will help you find it and release it. The hard part is, if you do have issues with that area, then it's already, possibly, if you're getting the nerve pain, it's possibly already inflamed and in trouble, right? So when we do this release, it's necessary, and also the stretches, it's necessary, but it's kind of poking an already inflamed area. So it might feel worse before it feels better. So the most important thing, if that's happening for you and you're doing this release, is number one, don't do it too much, right? I had a student once, I taught this too, and then they put the tennis ball on their office chair and sat on it for 8 hours. It's like, don't do that. Do it like we just did. It's a momentary release. So you do it for like 6 times or so, and then you must ice. You have to ice, because remember, if it's inflamed, you got to ice immediately. Okay, so ice it, get that inflammation down, and then we're working our way into a happier, healthier muscle. There are different schools of thought on this, so you have to see what works for your body. If you go into this stretch, right, and your piriformis is, that area is inflamed, like the stretching might make it worse, might make it feel worse. So you might find there are seasons for dealing with tightness in your piriformis. If you're in an inflamed state, you might need to ice more. If you are, it's maybe you've been icing and it feels better, then do the work to make it to get it to a better place. Okay, so there's our 3 moves for strength, for stretch, and for release for a healthy piriformis. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks. Bye.